I have not seen Westworld, though I did watch the movie Mother, so can confirm Ed Harris still got it.
And that's what this episode was about.
Ed Harris. Ed Harris. That's what it was about. A white.
You know
man.
what? Wait, the way he's dressed in Truman
Thank you
Show,
for celebrating Black History Month, Lewis.
Excuse me. The way he's dressed in Truman Show, that's Black culture. That's Black culture.
Welcome to Keep It, Cricket Media's show about pop culture and politics and what happens when they smack into each other at an alarming speed. I'm your host, Ira Madison III, a television writer and Fall Out Boy fan.
I'm Louis Fertel. I'm a TV writer and Jane Fonda historian.
And I'm Aida Osman. I'm a TV writer and alleged comedian.
Let's get into it.
The first week of Black History Month is off to a great start.
We only on week one?
Week one, bitch. First of all, we got video of Joe Rogan saying more times than a Tarantino script.
No, why is this like brand new to me? I had no idea this was part of his thing.
Same. As an avid listener too, I had missed it. Well, I think a lot of the clips too are from like, you know, the early Joe Rogan Experience days, but still new, but definitely before the last 5 years. And thank you, Miss India Ari, for being like the JSTOR of racism.
I know. I was gonna say, why is she my news now? India Ari coming through. She's not the average girl from the audio editor or whatever she's doing.
Because she is a queen. Sometimes I post Joe Rogan saying, just say I won't. Like, she really is. Takes strength, courage, and wisdom.
Wow, you've done your homework on India Ari today. Okay.
The 3 songs that I know by her.
I don't really think Aida and I got into the Joe Rogan Experience until after Shelley Long left. So, you know, I don't know the era.
Right.
Yeah, and that was in his past. And that's what people have a past. Okay.
After Coach died, it was never the same. Yeah.
We've got Awkwafina apologizing for using a black scent out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So nothing spurred that.
She started this herself.
She must got a movie coming. We just wait till the promo rolls out because we've been begging for this accountability since before the farewell days, and we received nothing.
Whenever there's a black scent story, you know Fergie has to go into hiding for another 3 months. So if you thought she was coming back out, you got to wait again.
People in the place, if you want to get down, I am leaving the building. Not to mention, we've got Tandyway Newton all up in the mess. We've got book bans. So why don't we just jump right into the first Black History Month crisis.
Great. Thank you, Super Nanny. Yes.
We just talked about Joe Rogan last week.
I feel like we talk about him every week, and there's no developments. There have been absolutely no developments.
He was never a main character on this podcast, though, until like this year.
No, now he's like the pop culture main character person, and he's not somebody you experience in movies or TV or whatever, so you can just easily ignore him. It's not even like audio clips appear on Twitter from him all the time. It's just the super fans have taken over, like the defensiveness about him has taken over. So you inevitably have to talk about him. And then you don't even get to talk about news radio, which is like the one rad thing he ever did.
Yeah, I feel like he is a topic on this show more than, like, he's a guest co-host more than I am. We are constantly talking about Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan.
Wow, the ratings do not agree. But
Joe Rogan, I went through the whole story now and have seen the video. It took me forever to find it. It's if his whole team scrubbed all of Google, but luckily Twitter still exists. So I found the video. I watched it. Very painful to get through. But then, you know, he apologized, retracted all of his statements. Spotify deleted a bunch of his videos. It's kind of like we've hit this point, this inflection point in cancel culture, whatever you want to call it, accountability culture, where it's like they know what steps they need to do, and then it's over. And it's totally over. And there's nothing that's lost, and everything is accomplished. Like, the boxes have been checked off, you know?
I think enough people have pointed out that we've reached the tipping point where money is more important. And also, I would argue the political discourse in this country has gotten to the point where, you know, like, if you have a president announcing his candidacy by coming down a gold elevator calling Mexicans rapists and drug dealers, you know, like any sort of like accountability is out the window. Like, when you think about Don Imus being fired for calling Rutgers players nappy-headed hoes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and now you just got, like, Joe Rogan, like, on, like, his world tour. And it's like there is no accountability here. You know, like he would have been fired for this like a decade ago.
Yeah. It was like counting the Z's in the Xenon movie. I don't know if any of you guys are hip to that.
People talk all about how cancel culture is taking over, but actually the cleanup culture has gotten very efficient. You know?
Yes.
Okay, so Joe Rogan is I also just want to say about him, okay, the internet always has this like discussion about Joe Rogan that has a certain kind of tone, and yet if I run into certain family members out in the middle of the country or whatever, they will straight up just say to me, "Oh, do you listen to Joe Rogan? I listen to him every week. I think he makes good points." Like people are just completely outside of this conversation still, you know, just being like, "Oh, we like him."
Yeah, and I think that also goes to show that when Spotify says, okay, we're going to take action, we're going to remove past episodes, we're podcasters. We understand that doesn't affect your pockets. Getting rid of past episodes, you've already been paid off those. You've already received the ad revenue. You've already been given the hourly wage. That actually doesn't hurt his pockets. In a culture where we know that the only way that we're going to actually get like any type of reprieve from bullshit like this is taking money away from people, I think it just reminds me of what happened with Whoopi Goldberg like last week on The View, and what happened with Nick Cannon and him losing his show on Viacom. Like when things like this happen to Black creators, when they offend, let's say, the Jewish community or the Asian community, they are removed and deplatformed or taken off their show for 2 to 3 weeks. Like there's an actual visual palpable place where they lose money. But with white creators, it feels like when they do equal or even greater grievances, not shit happens to them. Ellen DeGeneres gets another season of television.
I would also say it's the splintering of media and going more niche that has sort of protected people in this way. Because when you think about like Don Imus, or you think about like Howard Stern or other people who would have been reprimanded for something like this, those shows were airing on the radio. Like millions of people were listening to them on the radio, but millions of people are listening to Joe Rogan like just on their phone, you know, or in their car alone. It's not being streamed somewhere. They have to actually go and find it. And so I feel like it's easier for companies to sort of ignore things like that when it feels like it's not on a wide scale. It goes to what Lewis was saying in that if this were on the radio and there was some sort of backlash, it'd be on the news everywhere. You know, like people would be talking about it. People don't even know about the backlash.
I'm going to say, now that I've heard where he's coming from, I think I have to start listening. I think I have a lot to learn, and I think he's the one to teach it to me.
I mean, and we'll get into this with the Awkwafina thing, but I feel like so many of these issues are conversations that are being had on social media, and they don't exist anywhere else.
Right. Well, again, I mean, Awkwafina is even just starting a conversation out of nowhere. I don't know. I guess we're supposed to have it on social media, but I didn't know we were a part of it.
I know. Before I get to that, I do want to get to the fact that the people who came out to defend Joe Rogan, though, came out of the woodwork, that was surprising to me. I mean, and listen, like, we are friends with Whitney Cummings.
She's been on the show.
And she's been on the show.
Made us laugh.
The tweet that she made about comedians was one of the wildest things I've ever seen.
It's a baffling tweet because she doesn't mention that they should be funny one time. And then the phrasing, like, through a haunted house of the soul or something.
Spooky mental haunted house.
When
is
it
what
went
comedians are supposed to guide you through. Okay? Like,
is your favorite comedian David Lynch, motherfucker? What?
I feel like this was the same thing with Dave Chappelle, though, right? You know, comedians are supposed to be dangerous. They're supposed to be edgy, but they're only ever dangerous and edgy when it comes to marginalized people.
Go be irreverent about capitalism, please. Go do that.
They can't, because these comedians at this certain point are like the richest motherfuckers alive. Dave Chappelle and Joe Rogan are not going to make jokes about capitalism because they're directly benefiting from capitalism. They've basically got, you know, like Spotify and Netflix working on their plantation.
I think it's also this thing too where comedians are always saying like Whitney said, we didn't sign up to be your hero. We didn't sign up to be this perfect person for you, but also I didn't sign up for you to be like a huge media outlet for us as a society. So that with that comes a whole level of different responsibilities to the people and to what you function as in society.
Also, I would disagree with Whitney on that because I feel like Enrique Iglesias's "I Will Be Your Hero" is probably Joe Rogan's favorite karaoke song.
This is yet another conversation about how male comedians think the edgy thing is to make fun of the people who are like on the outskirts of their possible fandom, never the people who are like directly closest to them, who make they make the most money off of, you know.
And it's lazy. I mean, how many years have we been having this N-word debate? Like it's not interesting. It's boring.
Thank you. I'm learning. Thank you.
I'm absolutely tired of it.
There's never any new fucking insight.
Yeah, right. It's a pretty old. It's like abortion. I think I've heard both sides now, and by both sides I mean, woof. I don't want to hear you anymore. Yes. Well.
I'm still waiting for Jesus' side on that. Okay.
Okay.
Jesus has been real silent on abortion. But getting into Awkwafina now, I feel like we have discussed this on the show before. It has been a topic of conversation on social media. The idea of her using a quote unquote black scent in her raps and just in her general speech. And she took to Twitter over the weekend to issue an apology for it that no one asked for. No one was thinking about. The Shang-Chi press tour is over. So I don't know why she tweeted it.
Nor was it really an apology.
She didn't apologize for anything at all either. So apology is in quotes. She tweeted out, there's a socio-political context to everything, especially the historical context of the African-American community in this country. Great. Loving this Black History Month term paper. It is a group that is disproportionately affected by institutionalized policies and law enforcement policies, all while having historically and routinely blah, blah. Like, what the fuck is this? She talks about, like, Black people constantly having their culture stolen and how there's never any acknowledgement or respect for where those roots come from. And then she doesn't point out that she has done that.
Which I thought was like sly shade to herself, but it wasn't. Like, she's talking around the subject so much that nothing is pointed at all. Like, her videos are still on YouTube. They still get views. She still makes money off of them.
We should, by the way, reinvestigate what these videos were, because I'm actually not super familiar with the beginning of Awkwafina's career. It took Ocean's 8 to make me look, and then, of course, I was angry, because that was a movie I was supposed to like, and then it was what it was.
I unfortunately am. I remember, like, her, first of all, her whole existence in the industry is, like, predicated on these cringy rap videos, which, like, ugh, who does that? Not me. And I remember specifically a video that's kind of misogynistic too. She takes on this entire black scent and she does this whole like, my pussy's great and your pussy is bad, and like it's like that type of misogynistic comedy that she uses throughout the rap. And again, granted, it was like 2011, but it's this hyperbolic caricature thing of a black woman. And she kind of gets around it as well too. Like, her big scapegoat is, I have a deep appreciation for hip hop and a deep appreciation for black culture. But we as black people have eyes and a way of judging and understand the difference between like somebody trying on blackness for fun and using it for money, and someone who has a deep appreciation for black culture. Jack Harlow.
And she points out she also points out, you know, that her immigrant background allowed her to carve an American identity off the movies and TV she watched, and that as a group, Asian Americans are still trying to figure out what that journey means for them. You probably get this from growing up, Aida. This is not just an Awkwafina thing, you know? Like, routinely, I grew up and went to school with, like, Asian Americans who spoke in like African American vernacular English, you know, like speaking in black sense. And I get that, you know, it's the culture that they're consuming and liking, but then there is no reconciliation with the like rampant anti-blackness that exists within Asian communities.
I always tell people this when I'm trying to draw corollaries, is like the first person to call me the N-word was an Asian woman, was a young Asian woman. A part of me, the empathetic part of me that understands that we are all just conditioned by the media and the culture that we grew up watching. And first of all, yes, all of the Indian boys at my school were blacker than me most of the time and wanted to disrespect me and treat me way poorly than the other black boys. But I think too that I feel a little bit for Awkwafina in the way that, what did she grow up watching? She grew up watching the media that white people were pushing on her that made her believe that it was okay to do this. Asian people are still trying to carve out their own pathway and their own identity, but get off our road and be smarter about that and acknowledge it now.
I blame Chris Tucker. Rush Hour probably told her it was okay. Rush Hour probably led her to believe there was a lot of Black Asian harmony. I mean, I will also say that it's also the problem of anti-Blackness being global. You know, it exists in every culture. Like it exists in Latinx cultures, you know, where like you have people who are like literally mixed with Black people, you know, but like, you know, don't want to acknowledge like the Black side of their heritage, you know, and like it's there's the allure of whiteness is global, basically. And it's always easy, even if you're borrowing from Black culture, it is always easiest to, you know, just sort of turn around and be anti-Black, you know, because you're using the culture, but like you don't love the people.
It sounds like what you're saying is we needed the Romeo Must Die film to turn into a multiverse, and it didn't happen. And the death of Aaliyah prevented a lot of healing.
But I also want to say fuck Awkwafina, because not only did she tweet this non-apology, she followed it up with, well, I'll see you in a few years, Twitter, per my therapist. To my fans, thank you for continuing to love and support someone who wishes they could be a better person for you. I apologize if I ever fell short in anything I did. You're in my heart always. And then if you went and looked at her likes on Twitter, all she was doing was liking comments from white people who were saying, it's okay, girl, we still support you. You have nothing to apologize for. So basically everything you tweeted was a lie.
I hate you'll be in my heart always. You
didn't actually mean it.
Speaking of not actually meaning it, we'll get to the tandy of it all very soon. But I think that, like, I hate when apologies end with the "you'll always be in my heart," like some fucking Eric Clapton Tarzan soundtrack bullshit. Shut the fuck up.
First of all, his name is Phil Collins. Slow down.
Oh,
okay.
God. I'm confusing it with Tears in Heaven. How dare I? This is the frustrating thing, too. Like, I remember I was in, like, the water bottle tour moving to LA, meeting all of these directors and creators that I wanted to talk to. And they would always just, like, hold up a Cosmopolitan cover and be like, oh, Awkwafina, love her so much. And I would have to spend the time unpacking why she's actually a thorn in the side of Black women right now. And it goes back to what you're saying, Lewis, too, about people just being generally unaware still, white people, about what Awkwafina represents in the community for us as Black people.
Well, I'll tell you what she is. Nora from Queens. Get it right. Yeah.
I will just always point out that anytime someone tweets an apology, the first thing you need to do is go and look at their likes. Because if they are liking the comments of people who are saying they have nothing to apologize for, then chances are you really didn't mean that apology at all.
Or I saw Joe Rogan's apology was liked by his dog's Instagram account. And I was like, you fixed your little fingers to get on your dog's account to like your own apology.
And I still want to point out that no one asked her for that apology.
And it's February. That's another thing.
No one was thinking about her.
No, wait, what's up with Tandyway?
Well, she recently did an interview and posted a video where she is crying on behalf of all brown skin and dark skin women. And I personally feel sanctified. I don't know. Are you feeling that way, Ira? I feel like we've been spoken for. I just cleansed in her tears.
She's very sad in this video, talking about how she hesitated in taking the part in this film, God's Country, because she didn't feel that she was dark enough as a Black woman to play it. But she said that the film also helped her overcome many of her own prejudices
against dark-skinned women.
Against dark-skinned women.
Is being light-skinned has been way more problematic than being Black.
I don't know. All I remember at first seeing was this clip where she's telling someone, "My mama looks like you."
which I'm always saying.
She's talking about Oprah.
I say it threateningly. Yes, right.
And it's how painful it's been to have women who look like her mom feel like she's not representing them, that she's taking from them, taking their men, taking their work, taking their truth.
Ooh,
baby,
shut up.
Wow.
Baby, nobody has been thinking about you.
I just found out who you were.
She just found out who she was. She changed her name.
That's the thing. Okay, this is what it really frustrates me too. It's like light-skinned women are all still healing from the day they found out they were Black. Like they're all still like, they looked in the mirror one day and they were like, oh, I'm pretty sure I'm passing. I'm a white woman. It's giving Nella. And then they go outside and they face something that resembles oppression or racism in any way. And they are like, oh my God, I'm black. I'm black too. And then we're just dealing with the pieces of them mourning and figuring out this confusion.
I need you to know that you just said it's giving Nella.
It's giving Nella.
As in Nella Larson, the author of Passing. It was not gonna pass me by, that reference.
I was confused who she was talking about when she said that she was stealing black women's men. Because I'm like, I don't know any public black men that she has dated. But then I remember that Tandy Newton dated Brad Pitt while they were filming Interview with a Vampire. And that is black women's man.
Essentially, that's right. That's the science of it. That is. You're right.
Okay. Black
Brad
women
is
and
used to-
Angelina Jolie's man. Okay.
Brad should have been in Taken the way he is taking so much from other women. Anyway. I also don't get why Gen Xers, especially British people, don't understand just how to move through Hollywood as a biracial woman. Like, look at Zendaya. I just think Gen Z people, millennials, they figured it out. Like Zendaya said, I am Hollywood's acceptable version of a black girl, and everybody bowed down to her. Do you guys remember when Amanda Stenberg literally dropped out of the role for auditioning for Shuri because she was like, I do not fit Wakanda's color palette. Like, I'm not dark enough to be in this movie. And those are the things that I hear about people my age. And then when it comes to Gen Xers, it's like, what are you doing, Tandy? Why are you even speaking about this? Why are you crying during an interview? Like, why are you weaponizing your tears in this way? It doesn't even look genuine to me.
Did you really need to do this movie that badly, girl? Like, ain't you fighting robots?
Yeah, and it's like two other...
Or did they cancel Westworld? I actually have no idea if Westworld is still on TV.
That
you know
seems
what?
like the
Don't
most
tell
daunting
me.
world in the
Don't-
show
Don't
to
tell
start.
me.
No,
Don't tell
right.
me. I don't want to know. I don't want to know if Westworld's on TV. I never want to hear the name Westworld ever again.
I have not seen Westworld, though I did watch the movie Mother, so can confirm Ed Harris still got it.
And that's what this episode was about.
Ed Harris. Ed Harris. That's what it was about. A white
You know
man.
what? Wait, the way he's dressed in Truman
Thank you
Show.
for celebrating
That-
Black History Month,
No,
Lewis.
excuse me. The way he's dressed in Truman Show, that's black culture. That's black culture.
My keep it. I think we have backed corporations into a corner and they don't know what to do. So they send you emails at 12:01 on February 1st apologizing for like the Nat Turner rebellion or something for them not being aware of it. And I don't know who to blame. I don't know. But I woke up on February 1st with maybe 30 emails from the likes of Petco, Starbucks, and like Sephora apologizing for never having my shade. Just saying happy Black History Month. And we want you people to know, sorry for you people. It was like in Strikeout. You people was in Strikeout. And they said, just we're present, we're aware, and we want you to know that we're celebrating our Black employees this month. We're not giving them any more money, but we are celebrating them. We're like giving them a pat on the back. And then they would have like strategic photos of Black people with braids, really, just of any color.
You know what my takeaway from this is? You were subscribed to too many mailing lists, girl.
I no, don't, because what
Petco,
happens is you sign
block
up to
that
be
bitch.
what you sign up to be in to get some discounts because I'm still frugal. I'm still a frugal young woman, and then you get stuck. You get stuck and you unsubscribe, and it says 10 days until this takes activation, and 10 days pass, and you are still a member of their newsletter.
Oh.
It's just an endless cycle. It's a vicious endless cycle.
No, are you familiar with the Showtime network? They've got me in their claw now. Woof. I signed up and I'm stuck.
One of my favorite things about these corporate emails and like public statements, like my favorite one from 2020 at the height of the Black Lives Matter protests, Gushers tweeting that they stand with the Black community.
Well, it was like a staple in every Black kid's diet, so maybe they are very. We were waiting for that.
Wet and gushy. I fucking love Gushers. That was in my Black household. But I would say that my favorite thing about these is just how transparent they are. It's sort of like, oh, we know that we need to do this. Like it's just as corporate and soulless as corporations tweeting out during Pride, because I'm sure most of you listening have seen different iterations of a thread where they point out companies who make statements during Black History Month who have donated to Republicans who are taking away Black people's voting rights.
They just want to take the booths away, okay? It's not really about taking away the votes, okay? Let's get
Where it
technical.
happens.
Yes, right.
And they want to install John Wilkes Booth.
A statue thereof, right, yes.
To just watch over the proceedings.
Yeah, so instead of, having to leaf through all of these emails from corporations, I do have suggestions for 3 actually interesting places you can go this Black History Month for Black content. The New York Times 1619 Project. Well, I'll just repeat that a million times until they start teaching it at schools. The Root has a really cool breakdown of presents Black history and its interactive timeline. It really has everything, like even when I was born. So just go jump in there. You can look in there and see. Even Ira getting his very first job at BuzzFeed is right there in the interactive timeline. And I also...
That's history.
The timeline actually veers off course right then. Yeah.
And then, of course, the Black Film Archive, which we've talked about here on the podcast, made a list. Maya Escade made a list of 28 Black films for the 28 Black Days of History Month that you can actually watch. And on it are just amazing films like the lesser-known Julie Dash film, The African Nun. The Diary of an African Nun is amazing. You should go watch that. Just go look through her list. There's so many things to watch. They're on Criterion. Some of them are on YouTube. Some of them are on Netflix and other streaming services. So it's pretty accessible. But go
Is
do
Soul
that.
Man on the list?
Yes, it's 29. It's number 29. Don't worry.